everyone, it's me Fatima Nisrin. Welcome to Ekam IAS. We know that in today's world, India holds an important position in the global scenario. It is one of the 7th largest country in terms of geographical size. It is also the world's largest democracy with the lengthiest written constitution. And it is second to China in terms of population. And from the political side, India is a federal country with 28 states and 8 union territories. And we hold a system of parliamentary form of government. On August 15, 1947, Indians across the world has celebrated the 75 years of freedom. And we know that India as it exists today was not the condition earlier. We got this freedom from long fight around 200 years of colonial rule and struggle and sacrifice and bloodshed. On this occasion, as we celebrate the 75 years of freedom, let's see the journey of transfer of power from the British Parliament to the Indian Parliament. Let's classify the British rule into the Company rule, which started from 1773 to 1858, and the Crown rule, which started from 1858 to 1947. The Company rule started with the Regulating Act of 1773, which designated the Governor of Bengal as the Governor General of Bengal. The first such Governor General was Lord Warren Hastings. It provided for the establishment of a Supreme Court at Calcutta and also prohibited the servants of the company from engaging in any private trade or accepting presents or bribes from the natives. Then comes the Pitt's India Act of 1784. It distinguished between the commercial and political functions of the company. It allowed the Court of Directors to manage the commercial affairs, but created a new body called Board of Control to manage the political affairs. Thus, it established a system of double government. The Charter Act of 1793 extended the trade monopoly of the company in India for another period of 20 years. With the Charter Act of 1813, the trade monopoly of company in India was abolished. That is, the Indian trade was open to all British merchants. However, it continued the monopoly of the company over trade in tea and trade with China. It allowed the Christian missionaries to come to India for the purpose of enlightening the people. It also provided for the spread of Western education among the inhabitants of the British territories in India. The Charter Act of 1833 made the Governor General of Bengal as the Governor General of India. Lord William Bentinck was the first Governor General of India. It ended the activities of East India Company as a commercial body, which became a purely administrative body. Then comes the Charter Act of 1853. This was the last of the series of Charter Acts passed by the British Parliament between 1793 and 1853. The Act separated for the first time the legislative and executive functions of the Governor General's Council. For that, a separate Governor General's Legislative Council, which came to be known as Indian Legislative Council, was established. It introduced an open competition system of selection and recruitment of civil servants. The Act did not specify any particular period, unlike the previous charters. This was a clear indication that the company's rule could be terminated at any time the Parliament liked. It introduced for the first time local representation in the Indian Legislative Council. On 1857, India witnessed a significant revolt against the rule of British. And this movement was known as the Revolt of 1857 or the First War of Indian Independence or the Sepoy Mutiny. As a result of the revolt of 1857, the Government of India Act of 1858 was introduced. It abolished the East India Company and transferred the powers of government, territories and revenues to the British Crown. It changed the designation of the Governor General of India to that of Viceroy of India. Lord Canning thus became the first Viceroy of India. It ended the system of double government by abolishing the Board of Control and Court of Directors. It created a new office, the Secretary of State for India. It has the complete authority and control over Indian administration. After the revolt of 1857, the British government felt the necessity of seeking the cooperation of Indians in the administration of their country. And this was made through implementing the Indian Councils Act of 1861. The Act provided the Viceroy to nominate some Indians as non-official members to his expanded council. It initiated the process of decentralization by restoring the legislative powers to the Bombay and Madras presidencies. Further, the Indian Councils Act of 1892 increased the functions of legislative councils and gave them the power of discussing the budget and addressing questions to the executive. Indian Councils Act of 1909, also known as Morley-Minto reforms, introduced a system of communal representation for Muslims by accepting the concept of separate electorate. It provided for the first time the association of Indians with the executive councils of the Viceroy and governors. Satyendra Prasad Sinha became the first Indian to join the Viceroy's executive council. The Government of India Act of 1990 declared for the first time that its objective was the gradual introduction of responsible government in India. The Act separated central and provincial subjects, in which the provincial subjects are divided into transferred subject and the reserved subjects. The transferred subjects were to be administered by the governor with the aid of ministers responsible to the Legislative Council, whereas the reserved subjects were to be administered by the governor and his executive council without being responsible to the Legislative Council. This dual scheme of governance was known as diarchy. The Act also introduced for the first time bicameralism and direct election in the country. With the Government of India Act of 1935 marked a second milestone towards the completely responsible government in India. Majority of the features of our current constitution are borrowed from the Government of India Act of 1935. The Act divided the powers between the centre and the units in terms of three lists: Federal List, Provincial List and the Concurrent List. With the Indian Independence Act of 1947 ended the British rule in India and declared India as an independent and sovereign state from August 15, 1947. It provided for the partition of India and creation of two independent dominions of India and Pakistan. It empowered the constituent assemblies of the two dominions to frame and adopt any constitution for their respective nations and to repeal any act of British Parliament, including the Independence Act itself. At the stroke of midnight of 14th to 15th August of 1947, the British rule came to an end and the power was transferred to the new two independent dominions of India and Pakistan. Lord Mountbatten became the first Governor General of the new dominion of India. He swore in Jawaharlal Nehru as the first Prime Minister of independent India. The Constituent Assembly of India, formed in 1946, became the Parliament of the Indian Dominion. From then on, the laws in India were made by the Parliament.